It's Friday, 21st of September 2012. Just recapping on our articles that are going on, or affidavits that are going on to Facebook at the present time. Just want to let the Pope know in Rome that we have an affidavit sitting there on Facebook now for him to refute within 7 days all that is on that document. He's saying he's the innocent, in brackets, which means to say that any crimes he commits, he gets away with it. I don't think so. So we're just calling him a thief out in public, in front of 2 billion people plus, on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube and Google and other websites around the world. So to you, Pope, I know you're usurping our Maori Confederation flag for your jurisdiction of King William IV, the last king, and his power to administer Admiralty law into parliaments. It's not your parliament, you don't do that. So we are going to put you to the test that we have the authority as the Moai Confederation jurisdiction of King William IV to use that flag directly, the 1835 Declaration of the Independent Nation State of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Now, that gives us the exclusive right to use that international trading law of the seas, internationally, that is, in the UN. We are a registered company, Ngātue Wā Aotea Limited, New Zealand, and also a private company, Moai Crown, in brackets. So with your company, Vatican City, you're in possession of stolen property, which is the obelisk, sun god Ra, that belongs to the black indigenous native Nubians and Sudanese people, who are the same bloodlines as me, Tahitian, owner of those Moai statues. So when you put the two together, they mean our ancestral inheritance history that you've stolen. Now you can't say you didn't steal them, because you did pick it up and carry it off from Nubia, Africa, North Africa, and took the whole 200 tons of it over to Rome. Now that's the offence I've got against you in front of God Almighty up there, and Moai, face of God, up there. Not the Bibles, not the churches, nothing of the sort. And if you call yourself Jesus in front of the whole world, that's what you're doing now, Mr. Pope, Bennedict, Ratzinger. And now you're calling your church, Catholic Church, the Church of England, by the name of Queen Elizabeth II. In other words, your church is the Queen of England. Very funny. So happens that at the present time, David Cameron, the Prime Minister of England, is claiming bloodline linkage to King William, the 4th, the 3rd, the 2nd, the 1st. And before long, King William the 5th, Prince William, when the king line takes its place back. Now, you cannot change that law. Institute with Maori hapu, or in other words, Maori indigenous people that have the 1835 Declaration of Independent State flag. Sovereign. That's free passage, trading flag through the world. That's our authority over you and your churches that came here on that flag, across the sandbar onto our dry land and put your churches up. Now, we've got issues about that. If you don't refute this claim in 7 days, that's all that notice has gone out yesterday to you, it's up to you and your people to notice it, because all these other people are witness around the world watching our Facebook and also watching you and the Queen. So she stole my moai, Queen Victoria stole my moai off East Island, Rapa Nui, in 1868 on the Her Majesty's ship, Topaz. Now, 2 of you are thieves, right in front of God, up there. And you using your Bibles and Jesus, corrupted and fraud, to come on our land here. You didn't use the Bible and Jesus to get on our land. You used Admiralty law of King William. Okay? That's more French than anything. And nothing to do with us. But, in a sense, we have the legal documents, legal right to use those documents of title on our land, on our dry land where you got your churches. Right? You're found to be guilty, as Bill Depp charged, to £1 trillion pounds in gold bullion, according to our laws, tikanga moai law of these lands, in the Pacific and around the world. So that means all indigenous people following Maori and us, Hapu Confederation. Now, Moai Confederation is the owner of these lands and the Pacific. Right? The Moai is our brand, patent right, intellectual property rights, and power of the spirit. Right? Now, the world is watching you, Pope and Queen, killing people, killing babies, children, in Holocaust, everything under the sun, devil, worshippers, and your title in the parliaments here in New Zealand. You say you own the land. The Queen says she owns the land. You've got your interest here. We're going to bill you against all the interests on the dry land here and in the sea, and all the things you stole against your name, Ratzinger. Okay? You won't be innocent anymore, like you say. On your documents, I've got 47 pages on Facebook that's saying what you are, who you are, and what you're up to. Forging and assimilating people into your corrupted kingdom. Alright? Church, canon law, shoot, bang. That's your law. There's nothing spiritual about that. And stealing the big obelisk sitting in the middle of Vatican City, that's the penis, that's what you're calling it, and the Queen is the circle. Right? Poking that into her is offensive. Mr. Ratzinger, Pope, you are the most evil person on this earth, planet. I just want to tell you that. You must say to the people of the world that you're not a thief, or you are a thief, with stealing that and putting it on your churches. All the steeples, all those obelisks belong to black man, Nubian, African. Right? The moai belongs to black, Tahitian, Polynesian, on East Island. Okay? That's my people who built it. Right? The Nubian people built that obelisk for them, and God said, put it over here in Giza, in Africa. Right, the people will hear this, and they'll know you stole it. And you can't say you're innocent until proven guilty. You're guilty right now, that's what I'm saying on this video. You're going to have to own up to that. Otherwise the people are going to come and take you out. Okay? Because you've lied to them, and trying to take the world over, and the New World Order is out already in the eyes of God. Alright? And the Queen saying Her Majesty is gone. Now she's got another hat on as another Queen, the Supreme Governor of the Church of England. Put onto our land over here, sneaked in, and put her new realms. She wishes to renew her realms. Well, her old realms of a sovereignty is gone. You can't go and put another sovereignty here because we own it under the Moai Confederation of Chiefs. We got the sovereignty given by the King. The King William IV institute law in Westminster Parliament. Okay, fixed. The Governor of England, and with the Prime Minister, David Cameron, saying he is the direct lineage, DNA, to King William. That'll have you wrapped up, Mr. Ratzinger, and the Queen. Okay, that's one thing. And with you saying you're Jesus, Ratzinger, Pope, that's the whole world knows now, right? Because it's exposed. And with the Queen saying she's the Church, that's her name, Queen Elizabeth II, Church, that's your church. You're saying Pope, you're saying that's your title on our lands here. I'm afraid not so, right? Those are our materials, our worth, our rock that made those things, so we just flatten them and put it back to moai. Okay? You can have your laws back. We already sacked the Governor General and then sat in it and told the Queen, take her loans and go. You're still here. Right? You're in treason, Mr. Ratzinger, and the Queen. You're both in treason. That's why I'm billing you $1 trillion in pounds sterling gold bullion. Right? And that's in moai water currency as well. This video is very, very crucial, besides this affidavit that's directed to you and the Queen, and those pictures on there with King William IV and our Confederation flag right there as the authority of Admiralty law that we have on these shorelines where you jumped over with your bar and your dock off your ship and put it on our land, and you're using the Union Jack flag, which is on the water, goes back on the water. Okay? We'll put our Confederation flag up around the world, free passage through the world under King William. Okay? So take note that you only have 6 days to refute this claim and this affidavit that's on Facebook now. Okay, so I'm just going to run this video across with it, and you'll have to get back to us on that. If you don't, it becomes the law under King William IV, trading law, Admiralty law, international trading, and state government of moai Confederation. Okay? Thank you very much. See you soon. Don't forget, refute it.
To Her Majesty the Queen on her Diamond Jubilee, to our dear friends David and Samantha, and to the great purpose and design of our alliance. May we remain, now and always, its faithful servants. Cheers, everyone.
If these words are not treason in fact, Obama's pledge of allegiance to the British Queen last night during his state dinner with David Cameron certainly should raise the question. Under our Constitution, is a British agent legally allowed to be the President of the United States? Our lives and the lives of 7 billion other people on this planet currently hang in the balance of potential thermonuclear war, because the Queen controls our presidency. In Obama's own words, he is a faithful servant of Her Majesty the Queen and the grand purpose and design of the Anglo-American alliance. This so-called alliance to which Obama pledged his allegiance was first forged in the aftermath of the Second World War, where instead of the United States and Russia working in tandem to eliminate British colonialism, as FDR had planned, the United States under Truman became the junior partner of the British Empire, under whose influence we dropped 2 atomic bombs on the innocent people of Japan, not for any military purpose of winning World War II, but in order to set the stage for World War III, a war which was already intended back then to be one of nuclear annihilation between the United States and Russia. Though these plans were laid before Obama was even born, this is precisely the program which the puppet Barack Obama is being used to detonate right now. What is the great purpose and design of the Anglo-American alliance, which Obama raised his glass to last night? This: global depopulation and war, either through bluffing the nations of Russia and China into surrendering and ceding their sovereignty to London, or, if these nations refuse, by actually launching a thermonuclear war of extinction. And Obama, with his narcissistic tendency towards homicide, is the perfect instrument to do it. Among the other virtues which David Cameron extolled last night, including comparing Obama to Teddy Roosevelt, and just like the yokels in the Fort Bend, Texas Democratic Party, Cameron celebrated Obama not only as the slayer of Osama bin Laden, but also as the murderer of prisoner of war Muammar Gaddafi, too.
But there are three things about Barack that really stand out for me: strength, moral authority, and wisdom. Strength, because Barack has been strong when required to defend his national interests. Under President Obama's leadership, America got bin Laden. And together with British and coalition forces, America has fundamentally weakened al-Qaeda. The president says what he will do, and he sticks to it. I'll never forget that phone call on Libya, when he told me exactly what role America would play in Libya, and he delivered his side of the bargain to the letter. We delivered our side of the bargain too, and let us all agree that the world is better off without bin Laden, but the world is better off without Gaddafi too.
As Lyndon LaRouche has warned, in Obama, the British have found their carbon copy of the Emperor Nero. And with such a psychotic in their control, with his propensity towards homicide, the British Empire is poised to murder an intended 6 billion people on this planet. However, though their control over the U.S. nuclear arsenal remains London's greatest strength, therein lies their greatest weakness as well. Without Obama in the White House, it would be impossible for the empire to launch or even threaten such a war. With Representative Walter Jones's resolution for impeachment now filed, with the LaRouche Democratic congressional candidate standing strong on principle, with LaRouche co-thinker Jacques Cheminade making waves across Europe with his bold comparisons between Obama and Adolf Hitler, the British Empire's hold over the United States presidency is in no way guaranteed. The monetary empire on which the City of London depends is crumbling, and Russia and China continue to blaze a trail towards science and technological progress, with Russia declaring today it intends to land a man on Mars in 2030, and China announcing that its lunar rover Chang'e 3, scheduled to launch next year, has now moved into manufacturing mode. However, the very prospect that Obama's political demise is closer now than ever before puts the British Empire into a state of desperation. Were a patriotic president to replace Obama and strike an alliance with China and Russia, the world would quickly be turned upside down, and the British would face the extinction of their empire at the hands of a revived FDR alliance between the three great superpowers of the world. So the war drive continues and escalates, with Obama, via Secretary Clinton, delivering an ultimatum to Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov that Tehran has one last chance for talks, and if Obama's demands are not met, an attack will happen in a matter of months, before the end of this year. Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov responded, warning, "There is never a last chance. It all depends on political will, and Russia is doing everything possible to keep that will from disappearing, and rather to strengthen it. The situation is escalating in very specific ways. The conclusion from this is just one thing. Those who are tempted to use military force need to get a grip on themselves and seek diplomatic solutions. War will not solve any problems, but will create 1 million new ones and will come with grave consequences for many countries. But even while Russia does everything in its power to avoid the outbreak of such a war, they are also being forced to prepare contingencies. In an ominous statement which just underscores the danger, an anonymous Russian Defense Ministry official told Kommersant yesterday, "We have worked through our actions for the case of a war with Iran. We are mobilization ready for that eventuality." And so, the situation remains as it has for several weeks. We stand in suspension, as if teetering on a cliff, between survival and extermination. The only reason war has not already been launched is the efforts of a small handful of generals among the U.S. military Joint Chiefs of Staff. But this is in no way permanent. With Barack Obama as commander-in-chief of them, and Queen Elizabeth as commander-in-chief of him, it is only a matter of time, unless Obama is promptly impeached, that the orders will come from London, and even our most patriotic military officers will have no choice but to launch those missiles which will swiftly and suddenly put us on a road towards thermonuclear World War III. And so it would seem that with the great state visit of David Cameron to the White House, the British are celebrating not only their evil Queen's Diamond Jubilee, but also the final victory in a 200-year war that started in 1812, the reconquest of the USA. 2 centuries ago, the British arrived in Washington carrying torches and guns, but now, 200 years later, they don't need to bring their troops to occupy. Now they have Barack Obama.
It's now been 200 years since the British came here to the White House under somewhat different circumstances. They made quite an impression. They really lit up the place. But we moved on. And today, like so many presidents and prime ministers before us, we meet to reaffirm one of the greatest alliances the world has ever known. This visit is also an opportunity to reciprocate the extraordinary and gracious hospitality shown to us by Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, by David and Samantha, and by the British people during our visit to London last year. Through the grand sweep of history, through all its twists and turns, there is one constant: the rock-solid alliance between the United States and the United Kingdom.
So I am a little embarrassed as I stand here to think that 200 years ago, my ancestors tried to burn this place down. Now, looking around me, I can see you've got the place a little better defended today. You're clearly not taking any risks with the Brits this time.
So the question remains, will the American people allow their government to be used as a tool by the British Empire to launch global war and exterminate the human race? Or will we, by the means of impeachment and a global Glass-Steagall bankruptcy reorganization, lead the human race in effectively exterminating them?